And so on that day on the battlefield, when he avenged the death of his father, Siamak, whose long black hair was the banner of his courage, so on that same day, Kiumars' grandson became the next king of humanity under the name of Hoshang, promise of the future. And as Kiumars tamed humanity, so did Hoshang lead humanity away from its wayward ways. The nomad became the farmer tilling the fields. The hunter became the herder of cattle and flocks of sheep. And Hoshang taught humanity how to mine the earth for minerals, iron, copper, and bronze, minerals with which humanity fashioned their tools, the plow, the sickle, and the mattock, with which they tilled and irrigated their fields. And so humanity sowed, reaped, and harvested wheat and other grains with which to make their bread, so that each person made the bread they ate with their own hands. Each person kept to their station in the kingdom. But there were still some, humanity's wayward cousins, who chose to wander the grasslands, hunting for game, dressing themselves with the leaves of the trees. But Hoshang protected his kingdom from this wildness with walls he built and with the chains of mountains around which he set his boundaries. And so within the boundaries of his kingdom, Hoshang ruled wisely. He ruled wisely his kingdom in peace, prosperity, and justice, such that for 40 years, heaven revolved around Hoshang and his peaceful kingdom. And in his peaceful kingdom, Hoshang taught humanity many other arts, such as spinning thread from wool and flax, with which humanity made new clothes for themselves. All was perfect. All was perfect in Hoshang's kingdom, such that Hoshang could not tolerate the slightest ugliness, the slightest taint to the perfection of his kingdom. One day, Hoshang was wandering with his men in the mountains that protected his kingdom from the wildness beyond. They saw emerging from between two rocks something loathsome, with eyes like blood and jaws like smoke that dimmed the sun. It was a long serpent, ugly and repellent. Hoshang was outraged. How dare such an ugly thing taint my perfect kingdom? And so Hoshang reached for a rock, which he threw with the intention to strike dead that repellent serpent. But the rock missed its mark as the serpent slithered to safety. As the rock hit another rock, and as it did so, between those two rocks there emerged sparks from which there appeared something crimson and gold, something warm and bright. It was fire which both gives and takes away life from humanity. One of Hoshang's men turned to him and said, "Your Majesty, give thanks, for Ormazd, Lord of creation, has given you a precious gift today, and with that a lesson. And the lesson is this: the world cannot know beauty if there is no ugliness. The world cannot know light if there is no darkness. The world cannot know good if there is no evil. And lest you forget this lesson, Ormazd has given you fire so that you can forever remember this wisdom. So take this fire now, and with it make a bigger fire, a bonfire, and call all your subjects to make a circle around this fire and revere it, and in every year celebrate what has happened on this very day." And so since that time, 100 years later, thousands of years later, every year, 100 days after the end of summer, 100 days before the beginning of spring, in the dead of winter, humanity makes a large fire with which they surround in a circle, in which they could revere fire in a festival called Sadeh. And in this festival of Sadeh, humanity reveres fire, which gives them warmth in the cold of winter. Fire, which reminds them of the power they have over the animal world. Fire, in whose flames humanity can see the nature of their own passions.